Welcome back everybody. In this video, we will learn about doing an lab experiment number 6 which deals with getting a data from external world, which is a continuation of a previous video use effect. We'll be using use effect in this lab experiment. What does this lab experiment asks for is add a weather component to the home page using React.js. For the above website, we did not converted this yet into the React.js components. That can be done in lab experiment 9. We'll revisit this one later. As of now, let's do with and creating a component called weather component or lab 6 component, which tries to talk to an external world using use effect and get the data. Let's dive into that. I have created a component naming lab 6. Let's use the use effect. Use effect hook is used to perform side effects. What do you mean by side effects? Side effects are any operations that that interacts with an outside world, like data fetching or talking to the database or talking to any URL or subscriptions or any endpoints, or sometimes you can even alter the DOM, right? So use effect hook, we need to use it. Let me try to import that. And use effect hook will expect an callback function, and also it also expects an dependency. All right, so let's try to load the dependency as well. In this case, I do not want to load any dependency, so let me use an empty array. One more minute please. This is the closing of that, and this is an empty dependency. What do you mean by empty dependency over here? Please recollect the last session. In this, by passing an empty dependency, we are making sure that our use effect will run only once. All right, which is similar to our component date mount. So let's within this, uh, let's pass the code here. All right. So try something. Sometimes we may get an error if if your internet is not connected to that URL or not connected to the database. You need to handle those things as well. So try and catch. Try is associated with an catch. What is that error? We'll try to catch it. What shall we do with an error? We'll try to talk that in a minute. All right. So we use to connect to an outside world, we will use an fetch, which is an JavaScript function, or Axios. Axios, we'll be learning that in the 5th unit. Let's try to let me give me an introduction to that. Axios is one of a JavaScript library which is used to make HTTP requests. All right, from the browser or in Node.js. Our React works on the Node.js, so I can use Axios as well. So Axios dot get. But the point is here, Axios I cannot use directly. I need to install a package. So go to the terminal. Let's try to install. I believe we will be there. Yes. npm I Axios. It is getting installed, and package.json gets updated. Right. So taking more second. That's it. Enough, please. Close this one. Let's go ahead and get the data. Let me pass backticks and go back to our URLs. You can copy it from here, or else I will share the URL in the description, please. You can pick it from there as well. So as of now, https colon API dot okay, I think I can copy it from here. Talking to that, give me a moment. You can see that. You see, I'm copying this. Example calls. Please read out this document very carefully. Let's paste it over here. You see this? It is expecting some parameters to be passed over here, latitude, longitude. I do not want to search on the latitude and the longitude. Let me search on based on the city, please. And the API key, this is an unique key. Every user will have. Let me share my your API key with you all for your reference. I'll share that in the description box. Please pick it from there. So here, let me pass. So first, let me have my const city. All right, equals to city name. I would like to search for the Hyderabad. Let me get that Hyderabad here. After passing city name, let's get an API key. Please create your own account, or else you can use my API key over here. Um, let me get it that I have that in handy. I'm copying this and pasting over here. This is my API key. All right. So since I have API key over here, I can replace that over here. Dollar. My variable name is API key. Okay, and here I need to pass my city name. So query equals, so this is an endpoint, please read out the documentation. You will be seeing this endpoint as well. City, I would like to search on the Hyderabad. All right, so what happens sometimes, this has to wait for its response. It has to wait for its response, right? So what I'll do, I'll make my um, use effect. Let me write in a function called something like const fetch weather, WEA, fetch weather. Within this, let me try to uh, within this functionality, let me try to put all of this code. All right, so copy this, try and catch, put in this. Okay, next, let's try to make a call to this. We need to make a call to this when, so let me make a call, fetch weather, so that that function gets involved. Now, what I was talking about, this sometimes take a time to load, right? So since if this is taking some time to load, let me wait my function to wait for till it gets loaded. So let me write an await over here. And since I'm waiting for it, let me make my function as an async. All right. So these two are very important to catch, please. Now let's, this would return an object. Let me store that into a variable called response. Const response, and that object, whenever you are trying to return something, you are talking to this endpoint, that would return an object. Let me show you that point. For example, this is a kind of a JSON response that would be returning. This response I'm trying to store into my response variable. Let's try to destructure whatever it tries to return according to our requirement. We'll try to destructure it, please. Okay. Going back. So let me have use state hook so that I can maintain the states. Initially, it is null. Let me have const, two parts in it, where my state is in weather and set weather, WEATHER. All right. So whatever I have got as a response, let's try to destructure in the data part of it and store that into the weather, place. So to do that, let me call the set weather response dot data. All right. So similarly, if you would like to show up, if it is taking time to load up, let's try to maintain a state for to show that message to the user. It's been loaded. So let me rewrite. Let me create one more use state here. Copy that, and let me call this time this as an loading part. If it is loading, we'll try to show that one. So Let me make this as in set loading. Initially it is null. Initially loading will be true. All right. Similarly, I would like to show maintain the state for the error as well. What is an error? It has to be. So let me paste this one more time. This initially my error is null. Let me call this as a set error. I hope you are this making sense, everybody. Set weather state is for storing the weather. Loading state, whether if it is taking a time to load, let me show that you message to the user, so it is been loading. So if any error, I let me store to the error state. All right. So here, after setting weather, let's also maintain set loading true and false. Initially it is true, right? If it is loaded, you need not uh, you need not wait. So let's make that as a false. All right. In an error, let's try to set our error. Set error, whatever I received that one. All right. So since it is already loaded, let's write that as in set loading as in false. So I'm ready with all of them. Let's try to destructure whatever we have here. So before this, let's try to return. If it is loading, let's try to write if it is loading, if it is true, then return a p tag loading weather, weather, right? By using our loading state. Let me write some dots over here for okay. And if any error, try to render that error as well. If any error, return p tag error while fetching, error fetching weather. Yeah. All right. What is that error? If you would like to render, yeah, you can destructure that error dot message. All right. Mm, that is all for this. Now, what if it correctly loaded? So let's try to return that in the return part. If it is correctly loaded, you know what all it returns, please. Let me show you that object, what all it comes. You see that it returns the coordinates, it returns the weather with weather dot main, very important, as it rainy, snow or clouds. To show up. So let me render that part in this division. Um, H2 tag, let it be little bigger. So weather in so and so city. So how do I get it, please? We know we set at the result uh, which we got as a response. We set that into the weather state. So weather dot city, weather dot name. I'm sorry, name. All right. And I will also render the temperature of it. So how do I get the temperature? Go back to the document. Temperature comes under the main. In the main, you would see the temp over here. In the main, you will see the temp over here, and it returns that in an Kelvin, please. It's up to us to you use a Kelvin or use to an Celsius or Fahrenheit accordingly. Let's try to. It returns a default as in Kelvin. Let's convert that into a Celsius and show up. All right. So here, let me show p tag temperature. All right. Let's destructure that part. So what is that place? It is returning in an weather, right? Dot main dot temp, if I'm not wrong. Let's check one more time. Weather dot main dot temp. Yes, it is returning in Kelvin. Let me, the number, it is 273. It's in basic math we learned during our schooling, 273.15, which converts that into centigrades. So it returns in multiple precisions. Let me fix that to the to fix. This is in JavaScript thing place. So two. I would like to show only the um, Celsius. Oh, that is a string, right? So it is showing up that part. Okay, that is it, please. My string was within the curly braces. That's not the destructuring part. So that's it, please. If you wanted to show it is in cloudy or other things, you can go to that description. All right. Where is that? In the weather dot description. All right. Let's try to pick up this the as in last one here. Copy this part. Uh, show it here. Description. Or else weather condition. Usually we call that as in condition, right? Let me remove all of them. WEA weather dot weather of 0 dot description. Right. So let's try. We have written everything. It seems there are no errors as well. Let me try to use that in the main component. Lab 6. Let's look into that. Here. Axis is not defined. I guess we installed it. One more time. Let me reload. Axis is not defined. Oh, you see error fetching. Axis is not defined. We caught that error as well. Let me see my package.json. I guess we installed our Axios. Yes. Um, let me recheck. Line 2 Axios. Did I imported it firstly? I installed it, but did I import it? Where is lab 6? I did not import. That is going wrong. 1 second, please. Let me try to import. That's it. Line 1 got imported. Let's go back to our output. There you go. Let me reload my page, everybody. Did you notice that there was a loading part as well? So I know it's a typo. Weather in Hyderabad and the temperature is so and so. As of now, the condition is moderate rain. Why does this Celsius come here? I think I have, since I copy pasted that, I would have come. Yeah, this should help us. The condition is small. Let me correct my weather as well. Yeah, let's check it now. There you go. All right, let me reload. There was a loading part as well. There's no error, and we are trying to render that part correctly. All right. That's all for this video. Please do practice this lab experiment, which is trying to help us in learning about use effect and talking about an open weather map API, which is very useful for to get an um, weather conditions. So there are many other APIs. This is a free way to use, right? And yes, that is all for this video. Please see you in the next video.